I'm really excited to show my content ecosystem at Revenue Boost and basically how we try to be everywhere all the time through content and do it in a way that doesn't suck up all my time as the busy CEO. Because what's happened to me and what's happened to a lot of entrepreneurs is you get really, really busy with your business, so then you stop producing content, right? Because you got to do some real work, right? Or it feels that way. However, what we've really been solving for ourselves over the last year is how can we just really, really systemize the hell out of content so that if I'm off for 2 weeks or on vacation or whatever, I have a baby, I just had a baby, right? Whatever happens that takes me away from work, or if we get a ton of new clients and I'm pulled into delivery a little bit, content keeps churning out and our audience keeps growing, right? This is our system for how we, people always ask me I see you everywhere, AJ, and I don't even really feel like I do that much content because I'm not really doing that much work on content, but that's the magic of this system, right? That's the magic of having a good system. Content shouldn't burn you out, right? Unless you're a full-time creator, you should not be spending your entire life on content, right? Really it's just about having the right system. And now with AI, the ability for AI to write, research, edit, can even edit videos now, right? I'm sure it's going to be editing audio and podcasts soon if it's not already. It probably is. Now it's easier than ever. So this is my only time investment. This is my ideal time investment. I give some input on the strategy. I film once per week. I write once per week. And I just keep a pulse on the market. I review research that my team prepares. I attend events and I doom scroll. Yes, doom scrolling is positive because my Facebook and LinkedIn feed is all people in my industry, right? So this is where I also get ideas for content. So maybe that's my way of justifying that. But no, seriously, I get some of the best ideas just by seeing what are other people posting about, right? And sometimes I'll see someone post something and I might not even use the same idea. I might just use the style of the post. And then I'll write something, and last week, this was my most engaged post in all of 2025. I literally just saw someone post something cool. It was just a style that I liked, the style of the post. And I just spent 15 minutes writing my own version of that with my own idea, and my most engaged post of the year. So you got to really kind of stay in the market. Anyway, so I wanted to share this first before I get into the whole diagram and system because I always keep the goal as the North Star, right? My goal is how can I keep growing my audience, growing my authority, growing the Revenue Boost brand, without it just sucking up all of my time and just becoming a digital slave to my webcam and my podcast and all that, right? Because I've been burned out from content where it's, as much as I enjoy content creation, I've definitely felt sometimes oh my god, I can't just keep doing this much content, it's so much work. So this is our new system for 2025. I hope it brings you value watching this and helps you kind of see what we're doing so you can do the same for yourself and help build something similar. But this is really the North Star. The end goal is, I'm a big believer in having constraints, right? So whenever I do something in my business, I try to just have my constraints in mind. So such as, hey, I don't want to have to film more than once per week. I don't want to have to write more than once per week, right? And if you don't really start a project or a goal without a clear goal and constraints, then it could just go off the rails, right? That's how projects can start to take too much work. This goes for business too. In my business, I have goals and I have constraints, right? I don't just have goals on, what we want to become in the industry. I have constraints I only work half days Friday, right? How can I get my business done where I only work half days Friday? How can I get my business done where I take 3 weeks off in December, right? So big believer in goals and constraints, but this is important for content because if you want to really grow your audience without it taking all of your time and grow your business audience, you have to kind of know how can I fit what I want to do within these constraints? Anyways, let's go into the system. So I'm going to cover the media types, the channel, the CTAs we use, how we monetize, how we do research, where we're using AI, and the workflow as well. Most of this is what we're currently doing. Some of these things are new things we're building this quarter. But anyways, yeah, I am really, really excited to show you. This is actually my first time ever even talking about our content strategy or teaching anything. Most people know me as the lead gen guy, the cold email, LinkedIn outreach guy. But I also realized accidentally that we have a pretty awesome content system. I had a client that was like, how are you doing your content? And no one really asked me that before. And she was even more interested, she was hiring us for some cold email help to generate leads. But she was more interested to know how I'm just all over the place in a good way, omnipresent, right? Anyways, so this is the content ecosystem, how to become niche famous in a few hours a week. I'm going to first talk about accelerators. Before we talk about the content we produce, I want to talk about how we use other people's audience, right? I call this OPA, other people's audience. Because when I first started to get into content personal branding 3 years ago, I had zero audience. I had my mom following me and my sister, and my mom's a nurse. She has nothing. She doesn't really understand business content, right? But anyways, as many of you, I had no followers at first, right? That's how you start out. But I built a Facebook community to a few thousand members in just a few weeks with zero audience and $0 spent on advertising. How did I do that? Other people's audience. I used cold email to get myself invited to a YouTube. An extremely famous YouTuber invited me on his channel because I invited myself by cold emailing him, and that accelerated my personal brand because I had a video on a 2 million subscriber YouTube channel with the future. I've told this story many times. It's like one of the best growth hacks I've ever done. Probably the best. Because I got 40,000 views on that video, a few thousand Facebook subscribers, and I basically hacked my way into having an audience. So if you're starting out with content and it feels like it's going to take years to build an audience, just focus on OPA. Use cold outreach to get yourself booked on speaking opportunities, podcasts, YouTube. Go into your network and do masterclass, co-webinars, and then beyond OPA, I like to also host events. I'm not doing a lot of in-person events these days. I haven't done one in about a year or so, but events are great. And also other communities. So I also did this at the start of my business. I would spend maybe half an hour a day, and I would pick 3 to 5 Facebook groups in my niche, and I would just go, comment, add value, post every so often. And this was basically building my reputation because now other people would tag me. Oh, AJ's the cold email guy. Talk to him, right? So and then also UGC. We try to get our clients and community members to post about us. Sometimes if you give a really great client experience, people are going to post about you on their own, which is really awesome and feels really good. But you can also encourage people to share what they're learning from you. Like last week, I had a consulting client write a post about, I did some consulting with him and helped him with his offers and his email strategy and his vision for the business, and he just went and posted about it without me asking, which is pretty cool. But you can also ask people, and you can also even build UGC into your offer, right? Clay does this really well. Look up Clay, the software tool. They have me as a Clay creator. They have a program where you can post about their business, share like a workflow you're building with their software tool, and you'll get rewarded for that and some perks. So you can also do that. But this is really important because this is the growth hack, right? When you're starting out with content, it's really depressing because you're spending all this time talking to nobody except maybe your mom and your sister and your cousin and your old creepy uncle that comes to Thanksgiving, right? So what I figured is, hey, how can I speed this up? And I realized sitting in my office a couple years ago, and I was like, well, I'm really good at cold outreach and sending emails and LinkedIn networking. So why don't I just use that to fuel my content? And that's where this idea of OPA was born. I call these accelerators, right? Because again, thousands and thousands of community members overnight. Because I had to solve this because when I started a Facebook group, the reason that community building is hard is because you need critical mass. If you start a Facebook group and there's 10 people in it, it's not going to be very exciting, right? So when I started my Facebook group, I needed to get critical mass right away. So that's why I used speaking opportunities, guest podcasts, YouTube, and all of that. Plus, this builds so much authority because when someone sees you, I can't tell you how many opportunities I've gotten. Like I got flown out to Australia to film a course with Founder, like one of my favorite brands. I got invited to AdWorld. Like I've gotten so many speaking opportunities just because they saw me speak somewhere else. So aside from traffic and audience, like this is going to give you extreme authority and credibility. Which imagine this, I had a new business, 2 months old, no followers, no credibility, nothing, no personal brand. But now I had all of a sudden followers, credibility, endorsements from people in my niche. Anyways, this is awesome. And you can use cold email or use a team member to just reach out to people and get booked on things. It's easier than you think, trust me. It's much, much easier than you think, and nobody really does it. Let's talk about the length and the media and the channels. So this is just going from long form to short form. So we start recording long form and then we break it up into short form. We use, like the Gary Vee strategy. Gary Vee has like a 46-page PDF PowerPoint where he breaks down how he produces so much content. So just follow that. And then it starts with video, then it goes to audio, then it goes to video and text. So let me actually explain our channels, and I'll explain also what these squiggly lines are. So basically, to back up, the principle that's going to allow you and what allows us to get more content out there, get it out there faster and in greater volumes is repurposing. One idea, one message, one piece of content across multiple channels, right? So when I was in Australia with Founder working with them, I asked how many times they post a day, because Founder has like few million subscribers. I think they have like 6 million or something at this point. Huge brand. They even have a magazine now. And they told me that at their peak, they were posting 200 posts a day. I was like, 200 posts a day? That's insane. Yet, they only had one social media manager. And that was surprising to me. I was puzzled. I was like, how do you only have one social media manager? And it's all because of having a really, really good system where you repurpose. So our ideal scenario for content is I sit down and I film a YouTube video, right? That YouTube video also doubles as a podcast. And I don't have this written here, but I can't click it now. I don't have this written here, but also we would usually film our YouTube videos as a live. So we go live in our Facebook group and live on LinkedIn as well. But anyway, so basically I'm sitting down once and I'm doing a video which is on YouTube. The audio is going to be on the podcast. And it's also going to be live on LinkedIn and Facebook, which are our two core channels. So people can tune in and ask questions and build community. So imagine this. This is only a 1 hour thing. Out of 1 hour, I'm getting a YouTube video, a podcast, a live, and now we can take this and repurpose it into a blog post for SEO. We can have an email to our list that summarizes the learning lessons from this week's video. Then also this gets cut up into more. So now we break down from audio to video and text, right? So now I can take the long form video and I can use Opus Clip and a video editing team. Opus Clip is an AI tool that will take a long form video and it'll cut it up into 10 shorts for you. It's really good, but you still have to select the clips yourself. I find it's not the best at knowing what the best clips are, but it'll give you clips and you can just choose the ones you want or have an editor do it. We have an editor do it now. But I take this long form video and now it gets cut up into shorts. So now I have 5 short 60-second clips, which can be YouTube Shorts, right? Which is another channel. And now they can also be posted on Facebook and LinkedIn and in my community. And later we're gonna add TikTok as well. And then get this. Now I can also take those shorts and I can also write content about them. So I can this is where AI gets really cool, right? I can take a 60-second clip and I can also take the transcript. I can take the transcript to the entire video and the transcript to the 60-second clips and feed it into AI and say, hey, write me a bunch of post ideas for Facebook and LinkedIn and my Facebook community based on this, right? And then I can actually go out and write the posts. Now, the key to maybe you've tried AI and it's produced really, really bad content for you. Obviously, you have to learn how to prompt well and learn how to use AI. Because the principle is garbage in, garbage out. If you feed AI a garbage prompt or not much information, it's going to give you garbage out. That's why instead of just telling ChatGPT to make you a post, feed ChatGPT a transcript to a video and then have it select the ideas for you and then improve the ideas and then it can write the post for you. But to take this one step further, we're now building our own AI copywriting tools. So you can build your own tool or you can use ours, really. You can reach out to me about that. But use AI. You build your own bot because you can train ChatGPT or Claude, even better, train it on your voice. Feed it. So imagine this. Even have a VA in your team do this. Have someone in your team take your best performing posts and then feed it into your own bot, Claude Project Custom GPT. And then it can now learn your style, your tone, the way you talk. And then anytime that you want to write content, you just use that bot and then it already knows how you talk, right? And you can also even feed it stories about you. You can feed it background information about you. You can feed it a lot more. But that's the best way to get high quality content is just make your own bot and train it on your voice. But even with ChatGPT, even with just some good prompts, you can do it pretty quickly. So let's recap. I film 1 video a week. I get a Facebook Live at the same time. I get a LinkedIn Live at the same time. I get 5 YouTube Shorts, which is another channel. I get a podcast. I get a blog post in SEO. I get an email to my list. I get a post to Facebook. I get a post to my Facebook community. I get a post to LinkedIn. Actually, several posts because I'll have maybe 5 shorts for each. And then maybe I could have as many as 5 different posts if I want, or even more. Maybe 5, but 5 posts is usually plenty. So imagine that: 5 shorts, 5 text posts, 5 shorts, 5 text posts, 5 shorts, 5 text posts. That's 15 posts, 1 email, 1 blog post. You can really honestly write a couple blog posts because usually you'd have multiple topics in one YouTube video or interview. 1 blog post, 1 podcast, YouTube, and then shorts. So let's see: 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Times 15, that's 24 pieces of content from me just sitting down for an hour and just talking on YouTube. Actually, 27 because I 26 because I also stream it to LinkedIn and Facebook, and also you can stream it to YouTube Live. So 27. And honestly, that's not even that much. I've seen people doing this. You should see what Gary Vee does. He just takes it even a step further. We haven't added Twitter or TikTok next. We're deciding between which we want to add next now, but Here's the thing. Here's the belief that I had that was correct. I had a limiting belief that more channels meant more time. So, like at first, when I first started making content, I really just focused on LinkedIn, Facebook community, and then also just doing the accelerators, right? And that's how I grew so fast when I had, no following. But I hesitated to add YouTube and all these other things because I thought, oh my God, I have so much work already and I still have to run my business. Like, you still have to serve your clients, right? I am not a full-time creator. I'm far from that. I run a business, right? So it's hard to balance both. But I realized one of my friends who's a social media manager for like an extremely popular food blog, she was showing me their systems and she was like, look, you can add all these channels like as fast as you want. It's not about taking more time. It's about having the system. So the system allows you to be in more places at once without having to put more work in. Because again, I can have my team now take this stuff and put it on TikTok or make Twitter threads and use AI, and still, all I got to do is spend 1 hour a week filming. Now, again, there's still some ancillary time. I still want to, over here, give some input on the strategy. I also want to review the posts. I don't want stuff going up for my personal brand that's not reviewed, but still, eventually I'll pass this off too. And I still need to kind of like spend some time keeping posts on the market, right? Going to events, doom scrolling, reviewing research from the team. So, but still, like, imagine having 27 pieces of content, being everywhere, building all this authority, traffic, and leads, and all I got to do is just film one video and then just kind of oversee the rest. That's a dream right there, right? So that's the channels. That's how we repurpose. Okay, so now the squiggly lines. This is why I don't call it a content system. I call it a content ecosystem. Because every channel serves each other, right? So these squiggly lines, imagine that these lines are all going together and then they're all going up to podcasts and YouTube. It was just a little hard to draw with Miro. But anyways, so every LinkedIn post, every Facebook group post, every Facebook profile post, every email we send out, and every blog post is going to promote the podcast and the YouTube. Or really just the podcast, just the YouTube. Because the YouTube promotes the podcast. So imagine this. Imagine it's kind of like a funnel, right? Not a funnel in the sense of like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, because like I can have top of funnel content here. So it's not really like that type of funnel exactly. Like each channel has their own top funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel, but that's a video for another day. But imagine this. So like if you have a bunch of channels, one should be your main channel and everything should direct to that. So for me, we're making YouTube the main channel and then podcast because it goes hand in hand, right? Why do I say main channel? Because like if you want to have everywhere you post linked to somewhere else. Again, look at other famous creators. Look at what Gary Vee does. He posts. You can go to his YouTube video and you'll see everywhere else you can follow him, right? Because one thing I found that's kind of bothered me is we have a podcast and we've done like 400 episodes, and sometimes a client will be like, "Oh my God, you have a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yes, we've done like 400 episodes," and it's my fault that they didn't know about it. I didn't make them aware of the podcast, so that's why we started doing this, right? Don't assume just because someone follows you on LinkedIn that they know about all your other stuff. They're probably not going to know it, right? And look, maybe someone follows you on LinkedIn and they comment on your post once a week, but maybe they're actually more active on YouTube. And if they knew you at YouTube, they would binge watch your stuff, book a call, and buy from you, right? So you got to bounce people around. Every single post everywhere should lead them to some other channel. We've chosen YouTube as the one because we want to focus on evergreen content and SEO. There's two types of content channels. There's evergreen, and then there's like what I call a flash in the pan, like short-lived content, right? If I post on Facebook, it's gone tomorrow. Nobody can search it. Nobody can find it unless they stalk me, right? If I post on YouTube, I've had people book a call with me 2 years later after I recorded a YouTube video because they liked the YouTube video, they found it, and it showed up in their feed. So we're making YouTube and podcast our main content channels. You can consider it kind of like the hub and spoke model. Usually people do that with a website, but we're doing it with YouTube. You can just Google hub and spoke to see what that means. It's kind of along this philosophy, but we have our own spin on it. So I want to prioritize my YouTube and my podcast because for years we only posted on LinkedIn and Facebook, and then it was kind of annoying because I was like, hey, like nobody can find that amazing LinkedIn post I made 3 months ago that went viral or whatever, right? Because LinkedIn and Facebook don't really have that visibility, right? Our Facebook community has a little bit of SEO and visibility because people can, there's a little bit of long tail to it, but that's really what it is. We want content that has a long tail, right? Not just short tail content, right? So I want to really focus on growing my YouTube the most and the podcast because whenever I post a video there that does well, people can find it a year or two later. And now I'm bringing SEO into the picture. So that's the magic of it, right? SEO has changed. And, basically these platforms don't just want to see that you have a pretty website and blog posts. They actually want to see that you have authority on social media, right? I've been working with an SEO expert on this, and basically he was saying how important it is to be present on social media for your SEO. Because think about it, AI content means everyone's going to be putting a bunch of really crappy blog content on their website, and there's going to be an overproduction and too much supply of blog content, right? So, again, I don't claim to be an SEO expert, but this is just what I'm doing while we're learning. So blog content on your website is going to be less and less valuable over time, but because AI can fake that. But AI cannot fake you having a really big community and presence on all these social channels, right? So you have to think, what can AI, if you're worried about AI, right, making things harder for you, just think about what can AI not do? AI can't really fake human interaction, it can't fake community. So I'm very, very big on community for this exact reason. But anyways, long story short, your content should bounce people everywhere, and it should go two ways. Because on YouTube, I'm going to mention the podcast, and I'm going to mention all these other things they can follow me on, right? So imagine this. Someone goes to my YouTube, then they find all this other stuff, right? Someone goes to my LinkedIn, now they find all this other stuff. But really, we're prioritizing, in this case, the YouTube and the podcast, right? So everything benefits each other, and it's like it just kind of leads to this like exponential growth. That's why we call it an ecosystem, and that's also why it doesn't take as much time. We've just launched the YouTube. You'll see at the time of recording this video, I have less than 1,000 subscribers, but this is now what we're pivoting our strategy to, mainly because of the SEO value. And if someone searches something on Google, they have high intent, right? If they're searching for something on Google, they want to solve a problem or maybe even buy something, right? And now YouTube shows up on Google and also Reddit. I think the next layer to this is we'll start we were thinking about starting a Reddit subreddit or community, because Reddit also partnered with Google recently. So if you notice, maybe you actually might see Reddit results when you search on Google more. So anyways, really, really important to incorporate Google into the strategy, because Google gives you really, really high quality leads with high intent. And it also has like that evergreen value, right? Because basically the thing about a Facebook profile and a LinkedIn is you're not really building an asset. I had a buddy, he had 60,000 Twitter followers, and Twitter shut him down. Something about his content was offensive, but he was posting business content. And like, that sucks. He just lost a lot of money because of that, right? So at the end of the day, you want to own things, like you want to own your email list, you want to own your website. Either way, you just don't want to be reliant on one channel. But at the end of the day, like, aside from even the risk of getting banned, because that's kind of beside the point, the main point is that you just don't if you have a Facebook post that does well, it's not an asset, right? It's almost like day trading, right? Like maybe you make money that day, but next day you don't. But I'm telling you, I have a YouTube video 3 years ago. You can look it up. I still get calls booked here and there these days because it did so well. So focus on evergreen assets, not just things that give you attention like this. But these are great too to kind of fuel the evergreen assets. So hopefully you can see by now how this all kind of works together. Okay, now CTAs. What do we promote? How do we make money from this, right? So again, main CTAs, follow me here. Sometimes I just like to post and say, hey, follow me on YouTube, right? However, we'll change the CTA over time. A year ago, my main priority was growing the Facebook group. So these arrows look different, and all my content was building the Facebook group. But now the Facebook group has over 10,000 community members. We have almost 11,000 community members in our Facebook group now. B2B Sales and Marketing Secrets, if you look it up. So then I said, okay, cool. I'm going to chill on Facebook group because now I want to build evergreen assets. So now we changed the CTA to follow on YouTube. So we have a few CTAs here because we just prioritize our CTAs based on our business goals. So again, see the trend? Everything should focus on supporting your business goals. If our goal this month is let's promote the event, we're going to promote the event. If our goal this month is let's grow the YouTube, let's grow the YouTube, right? So that's why I have a few different CTAs here. But typically our CTAs will be follow me here, download a lead magnet, book a call, buy low ticket, DM me, or buy I already have that here, 2 low tickets. When I say DM me, I mean we like to start conversations. So we've had setters that would camp in my inbox, and people would DM us with questions, and we would book them onto calls. So getting people to DM you or email you is a great way to get calls booked as well. But you want a setter for that, or you can have some AI inbox management. But typically, like, you're gonna have really, really hot leads in there that are high value. So it's good to use a setter as well. You can get an overseas setter for $1,000 a month, really talented, really good at sales, and they'll book shitloads of calls. Our previous setter, not at our company because our audience was new at the time, but our previous setter was booking 10 calls a day from his previous company because he was just texting everyone on the Facebook group. And actually, I'm really, really big on this. I think most influencers or brands, personal brands, whatever, very, very poorly monetize. I know people with way bigger Facebook groups than me, I'm not, 50 times bigger, who make less sales than me. And that's because we focus on outbound, we focus on outreach, we focus on being proactive to monetize our followers and to get in touch with them. And it's not even just about monetizing them. Sometimes we just give them free resources, just help them, give them advice. And we build the most loyal community through this too. So this is a huge hack. You have followers, you have community members, you have people that watch and listen to your stuff. How about you just DM them? Or how about you just hire someone to DM them? You'll make their day, and then at the same time, you'll get some calls booked and make some sales. But anyways, we bounce between the different CTAs. Monetization, so we're reactive and preactive. Reactive, so again, most people with social media followings or audiences or email lists, they're reactive. They put out content, and then a tiny percentage of people in their audience who are solution aware will book a call, right? Or buy something. Maybe 1%, 2%, 3%, if that much. Actually, way less if you think about followers, right? But why not be proactive? We've made more revenue from being proactive than reactive. Reactive, you got to wait till someone's ready to buy, then they're going to book a call with you, right? Or buy something. Proactive is get in touch with them sooner and then move them down the funnel. Just by a couple of DMs back and forth or emails, you can turn them from a warm lead to a hot lead to a buyer, right? We've even closed $10,000 projects in the DMs before, not even having a sales call. Just they're warmed up by the content, they get a DM from us, we tell them a little bit about our offer, and then they buy, right? So I very rarely see anyone doing this. I know some people do it really well. Most people don't because they just assume, when they're ready to buy, they're going to book a call with me. Wrong. Maybe they didn't see your CTA. Maybe they're busy. They don't want to have a call right now. Maybe they didn't even know that you have an offer, right? One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of creators make is they don't sell. They don't make the damn offer, right? Don't assume that people are just going to buy from you when they want. It's your job to lead them down the sales process and tell them what you can do to help them and make the offer to them, right? If all you do is just make more offers to your audience, you're just going to make more money and grow the business. It's purely that simple. Thing is, how many times have you had someone that, this happened to me before. We've had people that bought an offer from our competitor because they didn't know that we had the same offer. And it's our fault because we weren't promoting, we weren't making offers. And if you feel weird about making offers and selling, just first of all, don't, because if your offer helps people and it's not a bad product, then it's your they deserve to hear about it, in my opinion. If your product truly helps people, your audience wants to hear about it, they deserve to hear about it, and by you making a decision for them that I'm not going to show it to them or I'm not going to promote it, you're hurting them because of your own limiting belief, right? So if you're worried about being salesy, just do it in a way that's not being salesy. Probably over 90% of our content has zero CTA. Maybe follow me here or download something, but a lot of it has nothing, right? It's very, very rare my content is salesy. Sometimes we even skip out on Black Friday, so it's very, very rare that we'll make a post promoting an offer directly. We will sometimes because you have to make these offers, but most of the time we still are very, very value driven, so that when we do make an offer, people don't feel like it's too much. They're like, oh yeah, he's earned this right to sell this to me, right? And really, this is where the warm outreach, the DMs and the email setting is a lifesaver, right? Because you don't have to sell on your social media. Social media works better if you don't sell too much. Have you ever followed an influencer and all they do is just constantly promote their stuff or promote sponsors? It's annoying, right? And it's not a good experience for the users. But look, they have to make money, right? They should be doing some of it, right? But what a lot of influencers are not doing is they're not doing proactive outreach. They're not DMing people, they're not emailing people or calling people, right? And look, I can show you a way to get phone numbers and emails from people who follow you on social media. There's tools that do it. So just let me know, reach out to me if you want to hear about that. But anyways, this is the magic I found. Once you actually start DMing or emailing your followers personally, or having a setter do it, or at least an AI that does it, we can show you how to do that too if you want, or I can make another video on that. Just let me know. But once you start doing this, you can stop selling so much on social media because you know that you can make sales by reaching out to your leads and your followers and your list. So then you don't really feel the need to promote so much on social media. You can focus really on value-driven content, which is going to in turn help you grow faster, because really it's Gary Vee explains it like this. It's like withdrawals and deposit. Every time you make an offer or sell, this is the whole premise of his book, Jab, Jab, Right Hook, right? Or Jab, Jab, Jab. I think it's 3. Anyways, the whole premise of his book is every time you sell or make an offer, some of your audience might not like that, and maybe they pay less attention to the content, or maybe some of them even unfollow you if it's too much, right? But every time you make value content, you're going to get more followers and grow. So you have to kind of have the ratio good between how much do I give value versus how much do I make an ask and offer something, right? However, if you can just sell behind the scenes, DM people, email people, even have a caller call your followers, right? Like that's even next level. Then you could basically afford to make less offers and make more value content, which is going to grow your audience faster, right? So really, really important stuff. So that's monetization. Strategy and research. This is content. So yeah, how we come up with the ideas, content performance tracking. We have a sheet that tracks our best performing posts, and then that tells us what our audience likes, and we can repurpose it. Like you can actually copy and paste a post from 6 months ago without changing a single word, and it works really good. Again, Justin Welch does this all the time. He'll take a post from a year ago, repost it. It'll still get millions of views because most of his audience didn't see it the first time, or maybe they just wanted to be reminded of the message, or the algorithm only shows your content to a tiny percentage of your audience. So don't feel weird about reposting your winning posts, and you can repurpose it a little bit. You can adjust it, change the phrasing, but you really don't have to if it's been enough time. So basically, how do we know what content to produce? That's the question here. We look at our past content just to see what worked well. We research other creators to see what worked well for them. We also just keep a pulse on the industry, intuition. A lot of it's intuitive. A lot of my best posts are just intuitive. I hear something from a client, from a friend, a colleague. I feel like this is important, and I just make a post about it, right? And that also comes from sales calls, client calls. So now it's even easier with AI. You can use Fathom for all your calls. Every single one of your calls, clients, sales, should be recorded. Then you get the transcript. You can feed these transcripts so Fathom will record your calls for free and get transcripts. Feed the transcripts to AI. AI can give you content ideas based on what you're hearing in the market, and this is the best content, right? One of my mentors always told me that the money is in the mouth of the market, right? The best content you can create, the best offers you can create, the best sales processes you can create, they all stem from what are your clients saying? What are your prospects saying? Because people will tell you everything you need to sell them, right? There's like an old marketing adage or quote. It goes something like, your prospects will tell you everything you need to sell them because you want to enter the conversation that's in their mind. I forget who said it. You can look it up. But the idea is, instead of trying to create a new conversation, enter the conversation happening in their mind, right? So if here's the thing. Let's say I'm thinking today about working out, and I want to maybe find a personal trainer, right? If I see a post. And let's say I'm telling a friend, I want to get a personal trainer, but I'm just not sure it's worth the money, right? And then I see a post that's like, hey, is a personal trainer worth the money, and how much does it cost to get a good one? I'm going to read that or watch that because it's on my mind, right? So first of all, you can actually hack a lot of this with data and AI. There's tools we use Clay and other tools there's a way where you can actually find everyone who's currently posting about a certain topic or commenting on a post about a certain topic, scrape a list of them in real time, get their email, send them a cold email. So you can actually do this with social listening at scale using cold email, Clay, tools like that. But also in general, I just mean the more you get to know your market, the more you kind of know and feel what they want, what their problems are, what their questions are. And you can use actual data from your calls or your team's calls with them to feed it into a document that gives you ideas. So AI is super awesome. That's the bottom line. But this is really important because if you're making content that people aren't liking, it might not be because you're bad at content. It might just be because you're bad at knowing what your audience wants. It's as simple as that. Good content gets shared, right? Why does Mr. Beast get so many views? Why did Mr. Beast get offered $1 billion for his YouTube channel? It's not just because he's the best video creator. Other people create videos really well too. Other people have good production value like him too. But he's one of the best video creators, and he truly knows what his audience likes because he studies the data and he takes a very scientific approach to what his audience likes. Anyway, last part is AI. So here's where we're using AI. I'm not going to get too much into this video, but I'll cover it another time. We use AI for ideas, research, like I mentioned, data. We can feed AI our data on our posts, what's working well, what's not, and it can kind of help us sort through that. We do this with humans anyway, but now AI takes it over. Also AI, I'm using AI more and more for writing. Like I mentioned before, use your own, create your own AI bot, a custom GPT or a Claude project. Really, really useful. But yeah, using AI for writing and using AI for editing. And by the way, writing is the cornerstone of all content. If you're doing videos on YouTube, if you're doing podcasts, if you're doing VSLs, if you're doing video ads, everything starts with writing. So this is why I'm so excited about AI for content, and also why I've always wanted to work on becoming a better writer, right? Because writing is the foundation of all marketing, all communication, all content. At first people were thinking, oh man, AI is great for writing, but it's not good at video editing. It's not good to help me with my YouTube or my podcast or whatever. Well, guess what? What are you saying in a YouTube video or a podcast? You're saying words, right? And that's the most important part of a video, is the script and what you're saying, right? Obviously everything else, everything plays its part, but the content and the message is what matters the most. Any piece of any video, audio, text, whatever it is, anything you're producing, everything you need to sell your stuff involves words. When was the last time you bought something where there was 0 words involved in the transaction? Nothing, right? So if you think about it, all marketing relies on words, all sales relies on words, all content relies on words, even videos, right? So the fact that you can use AI now to just write really well for you means you can do everything else really well, right? And then also AI for editing too. AI is really good for editing. Some of my favorite things are I write a post and I'll just say, hey, AI, make this 30% shorter. I want it to be punchier. Or write it in the style of this influencer, or write it like this, or add this in, or add in a personal story, right? So really, really good for editing. Now, to be clear, I still do write some stuff myself. Partly that's just because I enjoy writing and I also want to keep sharpening my skill. So if I'm really inspired, Naval Ravikant has this great quote. He says, inspiration is perishable. Meaning if you get inspired with an idea, go do it. Go build it, go write it, go whatever it is, any idea, right? So where I like to still write with my human hands is when I get an idea or inspiration, then I go and I write it. And then it's really, really good because it's that fresh inspiration, right? But outside of when I'm inspired for things, usually I'll just use AI and write it together. So I still do write things myself just because I want to practice the skill, and just because if I'm really, really inspired, I'm going to write something really good, and it's probably easier than just asking AI to explain it. But still, even if I'm inspired, I'll just give AI a really good prompt and then I'll kind of edit it myself. Anyways, last but not least is workflow. This is really for project management. So inside of our Asana, these are the stages of how we, the stages of content production, and this is how we just work together as a team. Content creation, content production, posting, repurposing, engagement. We didn't talk about that, but you also want to engage with your followers. It always bothers me when an influencer never, ever, ever, ever answers their comments. I'm like, dude, you're missing out on so much opportunity because you're not engaging with your audience, and also your audience doesn't really appreciate it, right? Most people you really build a loyal community and following when you actually reply to your fans, but and reply genuinely, right? Content engagement, content management, that's just the systems. We're using Airtable, Asana, all that, reporting and analysis, and documentation, knowledge sharing. This is sharing creating systems and making sure that this whole process is on paper so that if somebody quits or somebody is sick, we can still do their part. So this is our workflow. What's not here, what should be here, is also this part, the strategy and research part. But yeah, anyways, if I would edit this, I would add strategy and research here, and then it goes into this. But that's how we actually just produce content. And AI, and if you're wondering where to implement AI into your business, this goes for anything, not just content. Just look at what are the tasks and which one of these tasks can AI do and how, right? AI can pretty much do all of these things here, right? So this is also a good way to look at where you can implement AI, is just make a workflow diagram and just see what you can do with AI at each step. And look, all of this happens with me just filming once per week, writing once per week, and just making sure I'm keeping in the loop on the market and giving input on the strategy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. There's more to it as well. A couple of things to keep in mind. You want to have core topics. This is also referred to as content pillars. So what I post about is I post about AI. I post about entrepreneurship as a whole. I post about my life and my stories. And I post about cold email and LinkedIn, which is what that's more related to our offer as a business, right? And then I also post about sales. And that's very strategic. Some of those topics are mass market. If I talk about AI, it's exciting to everybody. If I talk about a life story, it's exciting to everybody, right? It brings in more audience. If I only talk about cold email and LinkedIn, it's only going to be exciting to people who know they want cold email or LinkedIn or are already doing it, aka solution aware. Only 3% of the market is looking for a solution and in market to buy something. So you don't want to just make content around your craft. You also want to make content around other things that are more trendy or more mass market, and then those people will come in and then they'll get introduced to cold email. So that's also how you can kind of move people down from unaware to problem aware to solution aware, and basically just, grow faster, but also get more leads and sales. The last piece to add here is have your content pillars. It's just simple as 5 topics I'm going to post about, and then each topic has subtopics, right? So cold email LinkedIn content is related to my offer because we offer to generate leads and book calls through cold email LinkedIn. Also, we do sales consulting, help people build sales systems that convert more leads for them. So when I make content around that, it's very offer driven. AI, entrepreneurship, lifestyle, that's more like building the audience, building awareness, and also it's just fun. That's just kind of what I gravitated towards posting about anyway. So last piece here is make sure you have your content pillars and your core topics. And I hope you enjoyed this. This is really like how we plan to get to millions and millions of followers. And it's also how I've been able to grow. And I mean, everything here isn't just about growing my audience, because it's really easy to get lost in audience and engagement. You can have a post that has 10 likes and 5 comments and still make $10,000, $20,000 in revenue for your business from it, or more. Like even like a lot more. You could even make hundreds of thousands from one tiny post, because really, like, don't confuse engagement with sales, right? Like, typically when you make an offer-driven post, or it's a post about the topic of your business, like a very niche topic, it's not going to appeal to most people, but people still see it. And not everyone likes and comments. Some people still see your stuff even if they don't like and comment, right? So this system has been helping us. Like, look, at this point, I don't have a massive audience because, I would say, like, I would say I'm niche famous, which has always been my goal, right? When people look up cold email LinkedIn, or they ask in communities who's good at cold email LinkedIn, they know me, right? Which is great. So I've become niche famous, but I'm not like some celebrity with tens of millions of followers, right? Eventually I will be, and it's because of this. But the point I'm making is, although I don't have a massive audience yet, I have a massive audience and reputation in my niche. And more importantly, I've monetized my audience better than anybody I know, pretty much, right? Like, in terms of for the amount of followers we have to the amount of revenue we've made over $600,000 in revenue over the years from a tiny, tiny Facebook group. I know people that have Facebook groups that have 100,000 followers, 200,000 community members, and they don't make that revenue, right? So the system here isn't just about growing your audience. It's about growing authority, meaning, people come to you, they see you as the guy, right? Which is really the accelerators. All of these accelerators, using other people's audiences, this builds extreme authority because of it's like a third-party celebrity endorsement, right? So this system isn't just about how we're growing our audience. It's about how we're building authority and becoming the go-to brand in our space, as well as monetizing and making money, because a lot of creators have a hard time with that. And it's mainly because they're not doing outreach and they're not really thinking strategically around the funnel and the CTA and all of that, right? So this is how we've been able to grow our audience, grow our authority, grow our business, and also how I keep it like pretty simple and easy, and how we're using AI to make it even simpler and easier. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I have a lot more stuff like this on my YouTube channel. As you now you know how my strategy works, you can follow me everywhere, right? But I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, let me know. I always love hearing feedback on these trainings. And if you want me to make more things like this, just let me know. I always take ideas. You can always reach out to me and suggest me a content or a idea or a video. Comment on my stuff and say, hey, I'd love a video on this. Happy to dive deeper on any of this, because again, I just want to make what my audience likes. So always feel free to reach out if you have any other topics you want to see, and hope you can put this to use. Cheers. Hey, I'm AJ Quesada, co-founder of Revenue Boost. Really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure to leave me a comment and definitely subscribe right now so that you're notified of all the cool stuff we're doing, all the cool tactics, tips, and strategies that we share here on the channel. We help B2B companies scale to 7 to 8 figures. We've helped over 400 clients, and we can help you too. And we share some amazing stuff on the channel here. So really hope you enjoyed. And if you do, let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe. All right, back to the video.